If you're doing things that you're passionate about, you're going to help a lot of people. That's just kind of how it is. And there's just so much out there. And I'm learning all the time about more and more opportunities that aren't necessarily for me, but if I didn't open up to them, wouldn't be any of it. If I thought that this was it, then, you have a tendency to think with blinders on or tunnel vision. But when you have an abundance mindset and you think of, there's plenty out here for everyone, the whole world opens up.
Welcome to the Montclair podcast. Today we have Scott Kidd. So Scott Kidd is a super yacht captain. He has spent 25 years working on boats. He's also the founder of Yachting Real Estate Investors. So he's passionate about helping others achieve financial freedom through passive real estate investment. We're going to learn a little bit more about Scott and all of his journey from growing up in Jamaica to launching his company called Real Estate Investors. So Scott is always working on himself. He's always trying to be a better person. He's going to share a lot of insights and how it was to grow up in Jamaica, all the way to working as a day worker on a super yacht. He's a father. He's a husband. He's now living in Florida. And I'm really excited to take you on a journey to discovering Scott Kidd. He's also got a podcast, so there's a lot to uncover about Scott. So let's go and dive into the episode. Welcome to the Montclair podcast. Today we have Scott Kidd. Scott, how are you today?
I'm very good. Thank you very much for having me here. I'm glad to come here and speak with you. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Scott, we haven't met before, but basically the way I found you is because I saw some of your videos and some of your online content, and I was very intrigued. So I really wanted to do this episode to get to know you a little bit more and understand how you go into the yachting industry. So Scott, can you just introduce yourself a little bit? Where are you from? Where did you grow up?
My name is Scott Kidd. I'm my dad's Jamaican, mom's American. I grew up a little bit in early part in Jamaica and then in Texas. I been a yacht captain for 20 plus years, been on yachts for 25 years. It's been a long career, and over the years, I kind of fell into this as I was in IT before, and I had my own business and needed a job, and I was back in Jamaica, and things weren't really working out that year because I had lost my job and my business, and I was back there, and things weren't working out there either. A friend of a friend was in the Navy with a guy that worked on yachts, and he asked me if I wanted to come and help out for the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, and this was year 2000, and I said, well, is it okay that I don't know anything about working on boats? And he said, that's fine. Just get here, and we'll figure the rest out. And I borrowed the money for the ticket, and I borrowed the money. My friend Merrick gave me some money from my pocket, and I landed with about $20 in my pocket in Fort Lauderdale. And I was in a big negative financially at that time. But
Yeah.
I was young and it didn't really matter, but I knew once I get back to the U.S. that can always make something happen. And I'd planned on going back to Jamaica, but moving back, but I never looked back because it was what I was supposed to be doing at that time, and I haven't stopped.
Yeah. So how did you start? Did you start just to do some day work on boats and, like you say, helping for the show, and then you just started to get your tickets, or because it's 25 years ago, so I suppose maybe the industry was different, maybe a little bit more flexible.
No, I just went and worked for this guy who was a boat captain, and he and I got along great, and he showed me the ropes, so to speak, and it was the rest is history because they really took me in, him and his family. They helped me and showed me a whole different life that I didn't know anything about it. I really didn't know that this was an actual career that you could actually do. I didn't know that you could actually work on yachts. I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, same for me. Same for me. I spent almost 20 years on yachts as a head chef, and it's the
Oh,
same. The first
nice.
job, yeah, the first job was pure coincidence. I was in the UK and I was looking for another job, a different job, anywhere in the world,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I just managed to apply for a position, and it was not even a yachting website. It was just like a chef's,
yeah,
like a job board or something. And I was like, yeah, that could be interesting. But same as
yeah,
you, I've never seen a yacht, never seen the med before. I had no idea about this industry.
yeah. I didn't. I came on and you know, I didn't really even know that people worked on them or anything like that. I didn't know. I really didn't know anything about it. But then, next thing I know, I was in the Bahamas, and I was doing back to back trips, and I didn't realize I was so thankful that you're going to pay me to do this, and it was so much fun.
I mean, it's hard to conceive from outside of the industry that there is people that actually, first of all, like you say, get paid to travel and to work on these multi-million-dollar vessels,
Yeah,
and but they also live on the boat full time. Like they are
yeah,
on that boat for like 11 months or 10 months a year, depending on how
yeah,
much holiday they get.
yeah. It's quite a unique profession. It's unlike it's it's like a lot of other maritime careers, but it's unlike others because we aren't transporting cargo other than wealthy individuals, and we're more on the entertainment side. We're not a cruise ship, but we're going to all the exotic places that the cruise ships don't really go, and it's a
Yeah,
very
yeah,
unique
and it's
career.
often a smaller vessel as well, so they can get into smaller ports.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
it's quite a unique thing that and I'm still surprised. This week when we dropped off just this morning, just right before this, that these people they're probably some of the nicest people that I've ever had on board, and we all. It's so nice when like the crew and the guests all click, and
yeah.
there's a synergy there. I mean, it was really good because they were the type of people that going the extra mile was easy. It was you know
Yeah.
they were just such beautiful people, and
I mean, it's
it's
it's a human
unique.
experience as well.
Yeah,
It's not just a maritime. It's not You're not just going on a week trip in the sun. You're going on a boat. These guys, like you guys, and all the crew lives on the boat. You guys know the boat like the back of your hand, and you provide everything to the guests. That's so
yeah, and it's such a unique experience. It's hard to explain, and I've recently started doing more videos about because people ask me a lot of questions about what is it like, what is it, especially time off, or what do you do when you're underway. It's a
yeah.
24/7 job. People don't realize that we work when we have guests on board, especially we work some really long hours. It can be
Yes.
18 plus hours a day, um, at times, and especially the chefs like you guys. I don't have to tell you that you're on your feet
Hmm.
all day, every day, and it's you have to really love what you do, because it's when it's on, it's on. It's a heavy schedule.
Yeah, and one question that even my family was asking at the time when I was on boat, they were like, "So, what do you do when there's no guest? Are you guys working?" What do you have to say
Yeah,
about that?
we're working right now. I mean, we're cleaning up the boat and inside and out. We got to take on fuel. We got to get ready for the next trip. I mean, granted, there's some downtime. I mean, we do get to have some fun. And
Yeah,
I try to encourage people to get off the boat as much as possible and go and explore these places, because it's very important that as we have guests on, we need to be able to tell them about the places and say, hey,
it's true.
because it's I worked on the first 2 years when I worked on the boats. I mean, we were so busy that I mean, we would literally fight over who got to take the trash out, because that was really the only time you got off the boat was to
Yeah.
take out the trash. And I tell people that, and they're like, really? I thought you were in the sun and doing it. I said, yeah, I was doing the toys, but I was also, it was a smaller boat, so I was doing the toys. I was making beds. I was helping cook dinner. I was cleaning the dishes, washing the boat, dealing with the guests, and I was the mate. So you're doing everything, and
Yeah.
it's very encompassing, and on the bigger boats, it's the same thing, because your work doesn't stop. When they go to sleep, we're fixing stuff, prepping for the
The
next
next
day,
shift
or
starts. There's always
yeah,
someone. Yeah.
organizing and planning for the next one. And while it might not be, as the captain now, while it might not be as physically demanding, it's more mental demanding, because now I'm also dealing with not only the guests, but I'm also the owner's needs, the charter guest needs, the cruise needs, and then I'm dealing with charter brokers, other brokers, and promoting the boat and all these other things. And the boat for me, like I tell people, is the easy part, because it's logical. We can fix it.
Yeah.
We there's a certain process, certain amount of hours, and we can repair it and do things. But the people problems become much more complex and sometimes
Yeah.
unmanageable,
Yeah.
because a lot of times, without knowing, we don't deal with our problems well. We might internalize it, and then we don't, it might come out in a different way, and we don't know
Yeah.
why we're doing these things. So, and that can be times 10, when, because we have 10 people all doing, under long hours doing the same
And there is
thing.
no like when you're on a charter, when you're on a boat and you live on a boat as a crew, not as a guest, not as much, but as a crew. There is no real escape. Like there is no private space. There is no little corner that is yours that you can go and just breathe in, breathe out. It doesn't happen often.
Yeah, it doesn't, but I always encourage the crew to, try to take, if you need a moment, take a moment.
Yeah.
Nothing is that critical that you can't just take a moment. Granted, you can't just take moments all the time and just, we still need to get the work done. But
Yeah.
if it takes you to get up a little bit earlier and just kind of go and sit outside, or maybe walk around for a couple of minutes, or something, maybe do a little exercise, or maybe some breathing exercises, or something physical, something that's a little bit away from the boat, or even just reading a book. Sometimes sit
Yeah.
outside and read for a minute. Your mind will turn into other things, and it's very good. It's just healthy to do those kind of things, because you can get your brain onto that runaway thought process of just keep going, and that can be really unhealthy. You can put you in a
Yeah.
very
It is.
dark
It
area.
is.
You know.
Yeah, I agree. Especially when you're on a busy boat. I mean, some boats are lucky that they're not being used that much. But like, what about you? Are you guys private and charter? Does that mean that you have the boss that comes in between
Yes, and
busy trips?
yeah, and sometimes right after. He was scheduled to come right after,
Yeah.
but things always change, and just because he said he's not coming now doesn't mean he's not coming tomorrow.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's his boat. He pays us 365 days a year. It's within his
Yeah.
right. We should be feel lucky that we work for a guy that loves his boat and loves, allows us to charter to make some extra money. And he, he loves using his boat, because without that, then he wouldn't have the boat, and we would, have to find something else to do,
Yeah.
you know.
Question for you, Scott. Do you think he charters the boat? You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but do you think he charters the boat to balance the cost of the boat, or is it to keep the crew busy and, like you say, making a little bit extra cash, or both? Or
I would say it's both, and a lot of the guys I've worked for, it's both. Like, if I learned a long time ago, I don't want to work for someone that has to charter the boat to be able
yeah,
to keep it, because it puts everyone into a pressured situation,
yes,
especially with everything, especially because they have put themselves in a kind of high pressure situation as it is, because they can't really afford it without the charters. And so then you're always under the gun to charter the boat. And then it
Yeah.
becomes, you things start to, the not necessarily the standard, but the the acceptable amount of charters. Like you end up doing way more charters than you need to, and then the boat goes down. So then it's like a self-defeating prophecy, because you're using the boat more than you should, and you're not doing the maintenance. So then you're having all the other problems. So then you start becoming behind and behind and behind, because there's so many problems when you're on charter that you're working so many hours that it can become
Yeah.
an unsafe environment.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand. Um, Scott, when you started, did you think you were going to be a captain one day?
I
Was that
it,
your goal from the start, or was it something you've
it
always thought about?
it was nothing I really thought about until I got on the boats, and then immediately as I got on the boats, I said that's what I want to do. It was strange. It was because the year before was kind of it was a lot of turmoil financially and physically, mentally, but sometimes, well, I had a coach one time. He told me, he said, you're always right where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think about it until then. It's like what I thought was a terrible year ended up ended up probably being one of the best things that ever happened to me. Because without that, without getting on the boats, I wouldn't have met my wife, wouldn't have my kids, wouldn't
Yeah.
you know
You wouldn't
wouldn't
be here
wouldn't
today, a captain. Yeah.
yeah, and I wouldn't be involved in all these other things, these this real estate stuff that I'm doing, and just meeting so many great people all the time. It's put me in a place where I have the opportunity to meet people doing amazing things, and helps me grow and be, realize that I can share that with other people, and maybe help them, find what they need, because I know it was I guess I did it the long way around, without knowing that's where I was supposed to be. But
Yeah.
sometimes I guess that's the way it goes. That's life,
I mean, you don't choose your path; it just happens,
No,
and
yeah,
you just deal with it one day
yeah,
at a time.
yeah. It's so true, so true.
You mentioned a coach. When you started in the industry, was it someone that was maybe a little bit older, or some kind of a mentor that you had that could tell you that you could go to and ask for advice?
Well, the first captain that I worked for, was a mentor of me, and he showed me everything about the boats and taught me about a lot of things. And he's I would say him and his family, really, it's their family to me.
Now that's so important. I was actually thinking. I don't know if there is such a thing in the industry today, or if we need to make it happen. But that would be great to have like a bunch of people that are industry leaders that could
Yeah,
maybe take care of some young guys and girls that want to start in the industry, that are really serious and
yeah,
motivated, and that want to do the right thing, not just try their
yeah,
own luck and go on boats that maybe they shouldn't go on because
yeah,
there's
because
a
they
few
need
red
the job.
flags.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And that they just choose to ignore the red flags, and it kind of ruin their career, or ruin their, they
yeah,
just have a bad time.
yeah, or
So
just it taints them from moving forward and just say I'm done. But I know personally myself, just because of I've just not only on the boats but in other parts of my life, because I've always had people that have given me guidance and mentorship and stuff like that. I've always felt the need to pass the knowledge on. I have four mates that are now captains. I think five now. And I've always, I always keep in contact with them. I always, try to help them, and I want them to do more than I did. I
yeah,
want them to go further. Because
yeah,
then maybe they will help more people. And then
they will,
yeah, I
they
look
will,
at
because that's how they got the info.
yeah,
So they'll just repeat what they've been
because
told.
when I was first starting out as a captain, I remember asking another captain. I was like, "Well, I've never really been here before. What do you think about this?" And he's like, "I don't know. You got to figure it out." And I was like, "Haven't you been there for like the last 20 years?" And he goes, "Yeah, but this is all, I earned that. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, all right.
I don't agree with this. I don't
No,
agree with this.
I don't
Someone told me
either.
once. Scott.
Yeah.
Someone told me once that I think it was Michel Roux when I worked with him in the UK. So he was this, 3 Michelin star chef and very famous. He was on TV and all, and he was saying something about how these chefs that didn't want to share their recipes and they were very protective of their recipes and their technique. And he was saying that if you want to be a great chef, and you cannot be a great chef if you don't share with people and teach them and try to keep the recipes going and the traditions. And it connects with what you just said. I don't think saying you got to figure out yourself because that's what I did.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't know if it's the right way.
no, I don't agree with it. It's not the way I do it. It's more of a scarcity mindset that,
Yeah.
you know, somebody's going to take your stuff or do this or whatever.
Yes.
For me, there's room for everybody, especially if
Yeah.
you see somebody that is talented that might be way better than you. Like
Yeah.
they could push the envelope and take everyone someplace that
Yeah.
we've never been. So I think it's your obligation to help the younger generation, the older generation, everyone, because there's that saying that I find myself repeating it a lot. It's like, if you want to go fast, go alone,
Yeah.
but if you want to go far, go together.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
That
something
really
that
speaks
I
to me,
live with.
Scott.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I live that way, because I don't think there's anything that, if I could help someone, I wouldn't do. And by
Yeah.
just doing that, then who knows where that might have gone. I might
And
not
I
be.
want to say as well to young
Go
people,
ahead.
maybe just don't hesitate, just ask. You know,
Yes,
you'll be
yes,
surprised how many people are willing to actually share, and not everyone is kind of protective and
yeah.
scared of sharing their knowledge and their secrets.
Yeah, and I nowadays, with with the internet and the amount of knowledge out there, there are no secrets. you
Yeah.
know, even if
Yeah, but it's
something
too
is
much.
brand new, yeah, even
There's
yeah,
too
it
much
is
of
too
it.
much.
So
Yes,
you still need someone to tell you, don't do that. Just let me
yes,
tell you a
yeah,
little bit my
yeah,
experience, and then you can take,
yeah. You still need
pick and choose.
guidance. You still need
Yeah.
guidance, and you need to know what to watch and what not to watch. But if you there's that thing, if you seek, you will find. That if you just look for it, or if you just ask the question, maybe I don't know the answer, but maybe I know somebody who does. And
Yeah.
there's a great book, Who Not How.
Yeah.
Is It's a great book that I read. I've read it a couple of times, and if you just find the person, the who in your life that you need, you can put things together a lot faster, rather than thinking that you need to figure out how to do everything. Because I was raised to be very independent, and it was great for me, because I was always like, well, I got to go and figure this out. But as I got older, I realized that I can get a lot more done if I find the people that have already done it and have already
Yeah.
made the
It's more fun as
mistakes.
well.
Yeah, and it's more fun, because there's a lot of people that are successful that will gladly show you everything that they have done.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
And those are the good people, because
yeah,
yeah, this is incredible. If you can live someone else's life just through his or her advices,
yeah,
it's amazing. You save so much time and so many mistakes. I mean, you should make a few mistakes. It's
yeah.
always
This,
healthy, helps you learn.
yeah. It,
But
it definitely, it definitely is. I wish, the only thing that I regret when I was younger, I wish I would have failed faster, so I learned quicker. So that I could have recovered quicker and then learn those things. But each of us in our own time. I had to go through those things. Yeah, yeah. I had to go through those things to 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 be able to be in that position, to get to that aha moment, or that or that what wasn't a failure, or was a failure, but it got me to where I needed to be, to where, oh, I need to make a choice between this and this, and I need to go this way, not that. And it's life is such a beautiful thing, that I think we have to just be grateful for the fact that we get another day, we get another time, and be present with everybody that we're with, because that's so important. it's just we can't I can't express that enough. That people always say, well, we got time. I was like, maybe you don't. What if what if
That's the thing.
yeah. What is the what is the likelihood of that
Takes me
you
back that sound.
yeah, yeah. What is what is the like I had a coach that he said, what if, just think of this, like, what if any conversation you had was the last conversation you were going to have with that person? Think about that
Yeah,
before you have that conversation. It
yeah.
makes you think more critical. Like, you think of maybe your parents, like they're whatever age they are, say they're in their 60s
I
or
think it's
something.
Gary V. I think it's
Yeah,
Gary V that was saying that. He was kind of um like playing a trick on himself by saying
yeah,
like, every time I see friends or my parents, I try to
yeah.
imagine that this is the last time, so I make the most of it, and I don't,
Yeah, and that's
I don't
it's a lot
forget
of
to be there.
coaches. A lot of coaches say that, and a lot of high level people say that because if you notice, like Gary V and everything, he's very, I don't want to say calculated, but he's very not direct. What's the word? He's very purposeful in when he's speaking to
Yeah,
whoever he is speaking to, because he takes it. He's very passionate about it, what he's doing,
yeah,
and when he's speaking to somebody, he's not. That's why he doesn't like gloss anything over, or he tells somebody directly what he thinks, because it's important that they know the truth.
yeah, yeah. Without hurting anyone, obviously, but
Yeah.
he's just being honest.
Well, it's something that also, because I saw him in person in San Diego when he was speaking. He said, and this was something I resonated with, that I think that people might resonate with also, is that as the older I get, the less sympathetic I am with people and situations, but the more empathetic I am about people and their situation, because you don't know where someone, or what somebody has gone through that day, or what
Yeah,
what was what happened before that. Maybe they're just lashing out, maybe there's another reason, and we probably need to maybe take a step back and find out, like, whoa, that went bad, but maybe there's something going on with this person, and all it
yeah,
would take is
yeah.
maybe
We never know what
asking.
happened. Yeah.
And I
Hmm.
find that a lot on the boat, because you can tell, you learn to read people when you're living in close quarters with people. um,
Yeah,
and it's a definite management tool, being on board, just having these discussions with people, and sometimes you need to have those discussions, and sometimes you need to leave it alone. You have to gauge all of those situations.
yeah. And I think this is the number one skill of a good captain. It's the people skills. It's
Yeah.
not how well you drive the boat, if you
No.
scratch the tender or not.
Sorry. Yeah,
No one
yeah.
care. No one care
No one
about that.
cares.
You can paint it back.
Yeah, you
That's
can
okay.
paint
But
it
like
back.
how you can deal with different personality, different people, different situation. And it is hard. Look, it's hard because I know I have observed for, like I say, almost 20 years on boat. And sometimes maybe I wasn't observing. Maybe I was just the first years of my career. But I've seen that it's not. A lot of the work as well is behind closed door, because you don't know, like when someone goes to the captain's cabin or something's happening, or you need to have a chat with a crew member because something happened. It's tough, and often no one pay attention to that. Like, this is what you have on your on your plate every day.
And a lot of times, like I tell people, and I guess it resonates more with other captains that I know, is that everything goes downhill and uphill, so it hits us in from everyone. Like, we have to deal with all the people involved with the boat, and a lot of times what might not be the best decision for that person personally, professionally, is probably the best call we can make. And some decisions you have to make are not necessarily good for anyone, but they need to be made. And
Yeah,
it's, you have to, a lot of times as a captain, you have to make those decisions quickly. And because if you hesitate, I had another mentor that wrote a book, and he said, one of the things in the book was that the most important conversation you need to have, you need to have that first, because it's going to weigh
Yeah.
on your head and that other person. And it might not mean anything to the other person, but it means
Yeah.
something to you. So you need to get it out, or you're going to hold that, and you're going to eventually hold that against that person. And that's something I try to get all the crew members to do, is like, if something bothers you or if there's an issue, just say something to that person, or you need to let it go. Because if you don't do either one of those things, you will bottle it up inside, and it will be detrimental for all of us. And it's
Yeah.
a main mantra that I have is like, look, don't make your problems mine, because I definitely won't make mine yours. We all have ours, but if you need help, the door is open. That doesn't mean that because you bumped your toe, you need to come and talk to me. You need to be an adult and,
Yeah.
deal with your own problems. But then, if you do need something, or you're having a bad day, something's wrong. Hey, I'm also a dad too, so I understand these things. I'm a husband, captain, but before any of those things, I focus on being a good person first. Because if I do
Yeah.
that, then all the rest will fall into place. None of it really matters, because if I'm a bad person, then all the rest of it will just be terrible for everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said, Scott. I totally agree. Scott, let's move a little bit away from yachting, and let's talk
Okay.
about your real estate career.
Okay.
How and why? Tell me, because now you
Um,
have a business, right? You have a business on the
yes.
side of being captain. So can you
Yes.
tell us a little bit about it?
Well, my focus is on multifamily syndications, where we all invest and buy apartments and commercial real estate. And I started because I've always had some type of side hustle or something, because, as you know, yachting is probably one of the more unstable career paths that you can take. And especially
And it's
having
not forever.
no, and it's not forever, and it's well, nothing is forever too, but
Yeah.
this especially, there's a certain timeout, but and some of us are lucky to be in it for decades. But
Yeah.
there's, here today, gone today, from, I've had it happen where I went from hero to zero in the same day. So it happens. So you need to have some type of passive income, or some type of income coming in, and also have an exit strategy for when you can no longer work on the boats and stuff like that. And that the idea was to replace my income, but I still love, as my income grows in the real estate, it makes me love the boats even more, because at a certain point, I don't
Because you don't have to
necessarily,
do it.
yeah, at a certain point, I know that I can go full time into that. So it makes me also get better at it, because then I can kind of consciously,
There's no
it's not,
pressure.
yeah, it's not a have to. It's, even though I'm not quite there yet, but I've already triggered that in my brain, that,
Yeah.
there's other options. And that's one of the things that I'm passionate about, is just letting people know that there are options and opportunities out there, especially in the United States of America financially. There's so many options. Greatest country in the world and all that stuff is relative to your culture and your likes and dislikes. But as
Yeah.
far as like financial opportunity, the United States is like none other, because we have, capital markets that are set up for growth and things like that. And that's why I focused on that, because you can, with just a certain amount of money, you can create some passive income for yourself and your family. And now it's not necessarily about me, because I'm not a very materialistic person, even though I work at probably one of the most materialistic genres that you could possibly work in. But I'm not into the big fancy cars or the house, but I want my kids, one, to know that they can go for it, whatever it is, at any age. And also, that, hey, that there are these options that you can use to provide a legacy for your kids. Like, I want my kids to to have a background to where they know they can do it, and also so that they can have a good financial foundation so that they can go and maybe do something that they're passionate about, so that they
Yeah.
can put go all into that, and then hopefully, help a lot of people. Because as if you're doing things that you're passionate about, you're going to help a lot of people. That's just kind
Yeah.
of how it is. And there's just so much out there, and I'm learning all the time about more and more opportunities that aren't necessarily for me, but if I didn't open up to them, there wouldn't be any of it. If I thought that you know this was it, then you have a tendency to think with blinders on or tunnel vision. But when you
Yeah.
have an abundance mindset and you think of, there's plenty out here for everyone, the whole world opens up.
Yeah. It does.
Yeah.
And so tell me, why real estate in the first place? Was it, did you know someone that was doing it that told you maybe you should do that, or
Well,
did you think of something else at
it
that time, or?
it started for me just because it was something else, because as we bought our first house, and then as the family grew, we bought a bigger house and then rented the other one. And then I was having some drinks with some friends in Fort Lauderdale, and uh, this particular friend told me he had bought and sold an apartment building for a 46 unit in Houston, Texas, and he'd made quite a bit of money. And I said,
Yeah.
well, you can do that. And he said, yeah, you can do it. I did it. Anybody can do it. It's and he said, it's that simple. All you have to do is do it. And that was kind of an aha moment for me. I didn't, I'd worked for really big real estate developers and real estate guys, and I always thought it was very kind of a private club. But it really isn't. There's so many ways that it gives you access to, buying property, whether it's land, apartments, warehouses, a marina. I have some friends that are trying to buy a marina, and it's, if I didn't open myself up to that, it's it wouldn't be there, because my focus now is mostly um, raising capital and putting together the financial side of it, because I can do it when I'm on the boats, because I get up pretty early, about 4 or so in the morning, and then a lot of times we stay up late anyway. We're on standby, and I can't really open any new projects, so I sit there and wait, and try to use my time wisely, and see how I can help put these deals together and have create some long term wealth for myself and my family and the other team members that are involved as well. Because and it's fun for me, because uh, it's the same thing that I do on the boat. We solve problems all day long, and
Yeah.
we put the puzzle together. We take it apart, put it back together, and it's very unique, because every deal is different. Just like a lot of different situations on the boat might look the same, but a lot of them are different. Like when you're coming into the dock, each time you might be coming into the same dock, but the wind is different, the current's different. You got a different crew. Might be night, might be daytime. It's always is quite a dynamic thing. But that's life. I guess I like to be in a constant state of change, or a because getting complacent has always been very tough for me, and because not necessarily that I get bored, but I like challenges. I can only sit on the beach for a few days, and then I have to be doing something, because it's there needs to be something, like something bigger, I guess. That's
Yeah.
just
And how do you relax then, Scott? Because it's good
um
to move all the time, but
yeah,
as you
yeah,
know, it's all about balance.
yeah.
So
Well,
what's your go to when you need to
I
relax or to
I
switch
go
off,
I go to the beach, um
but not for too
for the
long?
not too long, but I like to swim on the beach or run. I I do a lot of fitness stuff, and I try to take up something new, some kind of new physical activity every so often, just to try to do something different. Just
Yeah.
because it's a challenge, and it's fun. I always played a lot of sports and stuff when I was younger, but not as much anymore. But I think I'm going to start getting back into those things. I love sailing. That's fun, but I try to do things when I'm off the boat. I try to do things away from the boat.
Because you're on a motor yacht, right?
Yes,
No.
yes,
Yeah.
and I think if I ever worked on a sailboat, I probably wouldn't like it anymore. Um,
Yeah.
I used to like. I mean, I still love hiking and being outdoors and stuff like that. But I live in Florida, and everything is relatively flat. So, well, not relatively flat. It is flat. But I like to go to the beach and some paddle boards every once in a while and stuff like that. But biking, hiking, anything to get me outside, is stuff. And for the most part, to relax, I like to just hang out with my family, and
Yeah.
that's I like to cook because I like to eat. I'm great at cooking what I like, but I'm not a
Yeah.
chef. I'm not a foodie or anything, but I will try just about anything if anybody says it's delicious, or and I have this thing that I do every December because it's the holidays. People like to cook and their meal from wherever they're from, and so I because it happened like decades ago. I went to somebody's house and I wasn't really eating a lot of meat at that time, but I said, well, I'm going to this person's house and they're making this meal from their home country. I'd be very rude for me not to at least try it. And I tried it.
Yeah.
It was something from Eastern Europe and it was delicious. I can't even remember where they were from, but I just kept doing it because, when for the holidays especially, people make their traditional whatever it is, and it's an opportunity to try something that might be really delicious because there's the home cooked food from any country is usually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of history behind that, and a lot of
Yeah,
people that
yeah.
have shared the recipe and the tradition,
Uh,
and if they cook it for you, there's also a good
yes, a
sign,
lot of love goes into it, and
Yeah,
and that's something that because in Jamaica we like food is a big deal, and like whenever people come over, or if there's kind of the mentality is if someone thinks of you enough to just come by and spend time with you, then you have to the the door has to be open, and then you cook, and if they stay, and hang out or stay for days. Sometimes I remember when I was a kid in Jamaica, like people would come and they would just stay at the house and they would leave and come back, and we would go to other people's houses and we would stay for days, and cook food, and there were kids running around, and it's just like is one of those things I thought about when I was older. I said, it's the way I have to continue to live my life, because someone that just comes up and shows at your door, they think well enough of you to make the journey.
yeah. Would you ever go back to live there?
Um, Probably part time, but I've gone back and forth with it about buying property and stuff like that. But if I don't have time to manage it, I would like to just go there and rent a place for a couple months when I don't, because then I don't really have to be
It's
concerned
easier.
about it. It's
Yeah,
easier. I don't have to worry about, because in Jamaica especially, you need to have somebody stay there and take care of the place and everything else. It becomes like another job, and I want to simplify my life as I get older.
yeah. No,
Yeah,
no, fair enough, fair enough. It's not
yeah,
just simplifying. I think it's also like you got to protect your asset, and if you
yeah,
can't be there, like you said,
yeah. And if I have
just
enough,
doesn't make sense.
if I have, when I have enough assets to cover me to wherever I want to live in the world and rent a place for 2 months, anywhere in the world, then so be it. I lived there for 2 months, maybe in Spain for a month, or
Yeah,
wherever. It doesn't, it won't really matter, But when I leave, I won't have to worry about it, because
yeah,
I'll still have the same amount of income coming in, and I won't have to. There's a big thing about being financially free, and people think that it takes a lot of money, but depending on how you live, if you live
yeah,
beyond your means, it takes a lot. But
yeah,
if you don't, you can really live on a lot less than you might think.
yeah,
Especially depending where you live. And I tell people there's no real freedom without financial freedom, especially in the United States, because everything is money, you know,
Yeah.
and it's unfortunately, but you have to, to be there, you have to be a part of the game. You have to do it the best you can. But if you can make money in the United States and live somewhere overseas, with the U.S. dollars, you don't need that much. Maybe a few
Yes.
thousand a month, and you can live very well. I had
Yeah.
friends that were in Asia for 6, 8 months out of the year, and it only cost them 1,000, 2,000 all in, and they said that's doing anything I want at any time. And I
Yeah.
said, really? Wow. So I had recently a friend that moved to Bali, and he said that's about what he spends. Granted, his place is paid for, but that's fine. I mean, you don't need that much. And I don't,
Yeah.
not needing a lot of the things. And as you move to, as you get older and you're moving to these other countries where you don't necessarily need all those things, in the United
No, you
States,
don't
you
need
might,
much.
yeah,
At the end of the day,
yeah,
you realize you don't need the essentials are
you know,
pretty limited. You don't
yeah,
need,
yeah.
to
You
have an
need
iPad
people.
and iPod
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
computer and a
And
smart TV, and
yeah,
especially if you're in a nice
and
country, in a nice place. So if
yeah.
you can live anywhere, Scott, if you can, if tomorrow you can get a new house somewhere or a new place that you can spend some time every year, where would you go?
I've always wanted to go live in Spain part of the year, but I don't.
Yeah.
I haven't been there in so long that maybe I'm just going to have to try a few places. I would definitely be in Jamaica a little bit every so often, at least a month or two out of the year, and when it's not too hot. Um, and I do like some parts of Canada as well. I do like New England. I'd like to be able to move around. I'm not necessarily, my wife is also a charter broker, so I'd like to be able to move, as much as possible.
Yeah. I mean, if you can, why not? If you can
Yeah,
spend, 4 months here, 4 months there,
what's there?
and
Yeah,
just like repeat 3 times a year,
yeah,
that's sounds good.
yeah.
And also, I
That's
mean, depends on how old your kids are, and if you have kids. But
yeah,
if your kids can follow, if you can find a way to,
yeah. My
homeschool
kid,
them.
yeah, my kids now are 19 and 18. The 18-year-old's a senior in high school, so she'll be going to college next year. So you know, there's opportunities there, and I'd like. Plus,
Are they gonna work in the industry? Are they gonna go into yachting?
uh no, the oldest one is doing a dietitian, holistic, going to probably be a holistic coach,
Yeah.
dietary, and then the younger one, she is applying for the Air Force Academy to fly planes and aerospace. So no, they probably won't. My wife is a yacht broker, a charter broker. So I mean, once they're in school, we can kind of live wherever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Exactly.
not,
Yeah.
and they'll have a home to come home to if that's what they want, or they might be busy. I would like to think they would want to come home a lot more than, but I remember how I was once I
Yeah.
started,
There's
got
always a
moving.
life.
And they'll come. Hopefully, they'll come back, and maybe we'll live close together certain parts of the year and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
I'm
But
sure if you buy a house in Costa Rica or in Cancun, somewhere like this, they'll come visit.
yeah. If we rent a place for 2 to 3 months in Jamaica, I'm sure they'll be there.
Yeah.
Or in Spain, I'm sure they'll
Yeah.
they'll be
Where
there.
would you go in Spain? Where about in Spain?
I like the Costa Brava, the southern area of
Yeah.
Spain out there, and I've heard Portugal is very nice. I've never been, but
I've heard the same, and I need to go check it out because
yeah, yeah,
I keep
yeah,
seeing like I
yeah.
keep being directed to go there.
Yeah,
Like I've got
same,
signs.
same. It keeps popping up. Like I don't know if maybe my brain is kind of looking at it sideways because
I
the
think
same thing.
is yeah,
Same thing with Bali. It keeps coming up.
synchronicity.
Yeah, it keeps coming up because they call it what your reticular nerve system or something like that in your brain where you maybe you were looking for this Toyota car and then you
Yeah,
never
and now
saw
you see it
any. Now
everywhere.
you say, now that there's all over the place. The same thing. Portugal, Portugal, Portugal keeps coming up.
They say that's what you should do with money as well.
Yeah,
You have
yeah,
to visualize abundance and
yeah. That
success, and
works.
then it will come. It
That
does.
that works. I mean, if you can, if you can think it, it can happen. I mean,
It exists.
it
If you can
exists.
think it, it already exists. It's in your head.
Yeah, it's already because what I tell people is like, look, what I might be telling you might be a crazy idea, but everything around us was a crazy idea at one point. Somebody told
Yeah,
somebody that's crazy. You'll never have a light that goes on when you want.
yeah,
You know, you'll never be able to talk to somebody on a screen. That's or
yeah. You're not gonna
you,
fly in that
if I have
in that
a
tin
metal
box.
thing. Yeah, you're not going to. We're not going to motorize vehicles. That's just a fad. I mean,
Yeah,
that's nobody's
yeah.
going to be
What's wrong with
doing that.
horses?
So yeah, yeah. It's funny. Funny enough, my grandfather, he said he didn't like the cars because when he got drunk, the horse and the donkey knew the way home.
It's because he didn't have a Tesla.
Yeah, yeah, true, true. He didn't
Now
have
he
a
would be
Tesla.
happy.
Now,
He was just too early.
hey, I would be happy with a driver, a boat captain, a pilot. That would be fantastic. That will be
It's coming.
fantastic. Yeah, it's
It's coming.
coming. Yeah, it's coming. Because the planes already fly with no minimums. They can land on their own.
Yeah, they pretty much
We choose
do.
not to. We choose not to because we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Scott, you mentioned a few time coaches that you had. Do you have a coach right now,
Uh, Not
or a
currently.
mentor, or someone that you would?
I've had several. I had a personal and a business development coach, and I've had a real estate coach that I'm involved in a mastermind right now. And
What kind of mastermind?
it's a real estate mastermind for multifamily real estate. And we've been doing that for a while. And I had a personal development coach, and we did group coaching as well. And I can't say enough about how great that was. And I'm going to revisit that and do it again. I just, now that I've kind of done it in kind of fits and starts, because I like to take the tools and see how I can do it on my own, and then maybe go to the next level, and then do another round of coaching later on. Group coaching is
Yeah.
can be quite good, and I really like your idea about for the yachting. We have some type of mentorship program. Maybe some
Scott,
type
I
of
was thinking about
collaboration.
doing it for. Yeah, I was thinking about doing it for chefs, but I mean, it
Yeah,
doesn't have to be. It can be a bunch of people that have
yeah,
worked, a
yeah.
certain amount of
Just
time on boats and are
yeah,
willing to share their knowledge.
yeah.
And
Because I've spoken to other people about doing it for people on yachts for like financial stuff, because but
it
it
could
can
be part
be
of it.
it could be all of it. We could do
Scott, when I started on boats, no one told me anything about financial
yeah.
investment, and I
Mm.
wasted probably five
Oh
years
yeah,
of money.
same
And I
here.
regret it
Yeah,
now. I mean,
yeah,
it was my journey as well, but I do think when you start on the boat, someone should say, "Hey, it's not. First of all, it's not tax free, and
yeah,
secondly, you're getting paid super well. Save 20%, put it
yeah, yeah,
somewhere, and where do you put
yeah.
it? We'll teach you."
Yeah, put it into something, buy some real estate, put it into some investment, something that's going to give you a return. Buy
Yeah,
assets that are going to keep you that way. And then because I think we can all use some guidance all the
yes,
time, and you know, no one has all the answers, but together we can figure it out.
yeah.
You know, um, it's just yeah. I mean, I'd be really excited to speak to you more about that, because I think we could all do a lot of things, because
Yeah, I have some
especially
ideas. We can definitely
yeah,
brainstorm and see what can come up,
definitely,
because I mean, we both have a lot of connections, and there's a lot of people that are, a little bit older. They're not in the
yeah,
industry, or they're just at the end of
yeah,
their career, and they understand what's happening, and they can definitely help other people.
Yeah, and the thing is too that I have a lot of people that have gone on to do other things, and I'm starting to, because I started my own podcast as well, and I like to have you on there as well, because people that have gone on to do other things, I kind of want to show people gateways of other things, not necessarily just
Yeah.
real estate. I mean, that's my path, but
That
you
was,
know,
Scott, that was a little bit what I was gonna do with this podcast. It's like I want to talk to people that are, on top of their game, that they've reached the,
yeah,
pretty high level in the industry. But also what the common thing with everyone is, like, everyone has an idea, or
yeah,
has started something, or
yeah,
is already doing something like a business,
yeah, yeah,
that is still connected somehow with the industry. So
yeah.
it's there's a theme here.
Yeah, I think that that'd be great, because then you can show people that there are other opportunities, and also just I'd like people to share their stories, because it's very interesting how people come up with the ideas, and maybe sometimes some of these people need help getting to the next level, or getting,
Yeah,
maybe they just, maybe somebody in our networks has what they need to, hey, you might need some financial service, you might need a personal assistant or a virtual assistant that can take you to
yeah,
the next level. You need to take some things off your plate, and
yeah,
that's, I always tell people I'm always here to help. I'm glad to help, because I like to figure stuff out. Because it helps me, because there's so many times where I didn't know where to turn. And
yeah.
and
And
I
also, Scott, as a captain, you can probably, because I was thinking it could also be as simple as just, getting feedback on a CV. That's someone that
yes,
wants to start, that has a few
yeah,
years and is struggling to get a job. Because I see, with Montclair Chef, we recruit chefs for yachts and
okay,
for private residents. So I see CVs every day, all the time.
yeah,
And quite often, when chefs asking me, like, what do you think? I'm like, I'm very happy to share what I
yeah,
think they should do to improve, because
yeah,
sometimes it just doesn't take much. It's the same
yeah,
CV, it's the same profile. But
yeah,
and you, as a captain that recruit, crew, you can also say, look, if I had to see this on a CV, I wouldn't like it, or I would
yeah,
rather see
yeah.
something else.
Yeah, and that's something that could be, that can be very helpful to people, because sometimes, people don't understand that they need to stand out just a little bit, because a lot of times we're getting stacks of
Yeah,
CVs, and you know, how do you get yourself to the top? A lot of times it's just being the timing, like you send it at the
yeah,
right time, but that timing has to be there to where that thing pops. And, oh, this, and because a lot of people like to have a lot of words and everything on there, but you need to
no
have
one
all the
reads it.
qualification. Yeah, you have to have the qual. Oh, this guy doesn't have this license. Okay, he gone.
Yeah, I
Her,
mean,
she
what are the
has it. Yeah,
keywords, Scott? What are the
yeah,
keywords? STCW,
yeah,
ENT1,
yeah,
location.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Oh,
where you from?
he's
Because
in.
then your visa will be
Yeah,
depending on
yeah,
this. Yeah.
yeah. He's in Germany. We're Forget it. We're in California.
He's
Forget
in
it.
Florida. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. He's in Florida right now. Can you be here today?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's very, 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 very understandable, because I would be happy to have the opportunity to help other people
But let's make
find.
it happen.
Definitely, we're definitely
Let's get on
we're
another
doing
call at some point.
definite.
Last question, Scott, for you. If it's actually connected to what we just talked about, what's the one thing you wish you knew when you started that you didn't know?
The one thing
For me, for
I
example, it was the financial thing. I wish
yeah,
someone would have, like, hold my hand, or pretty much my wallet, saying, "Hey, stop spending.
yeah, yeah.
It's fun. Do it for a few months. Enjoy getting out of your system, but then,
Yeah.
just watch
I
out for that
wish. I
money. It
mean,
goes out fast."
looking back, I wish I would have known the power of the real estate for me very much
Yeah.
sooner, and I wish I would have doubled down much sooner. Um, just because,
What do you mean by double down? You mean, like,
like,
just don't be distracted, just go all in?
yeah, just go and buy more properties sooner, rather than hesitating, because I saw through the global financial crisis and everything, where could have bought multitude of houses just with a few other captain friends, we could have bought the house across the street from me, sold for $27,000. And
What?
yeah, and then it was like a year later, I was like, oh, I should buy everything. And then at that point, they were buying them. The financial guys were buying them in blocks, and they were going
Yeah.
so fast that was I hesitated, and
Yeah.
that was something that I think about. But it's like now because of everything that's going on, and just the power of real estate. The best time to buy is now or 20 years ago, because 20
Yeah.
years ago, think about everything, so I'm consistently buying and looking for opportunities, and that's something that I wished I would have done immediately. Just kept buying and kept looking, kept because it's always going to be, if it can cash flow and it's paying for itself, regardless of what it
Yeah.
is,
Why
single
not?
family house, apartment, a warehouse, office, whatever it is. um, it creates generational wealth, and you just keep building on that, and then at a certain point you have enough passive income coming in to where you have all those options, because assets give you options, you know
Yeah.
uh, and if not, then you're just spending. you know you're the ones creating your own active income, but passive income, granted, it's not 100% passive. You still have to put work into managing those properties. Same thing like everything else. If you don't keep an eye on it, it goes bad. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's well said, actually, because yeah, you got to keep an eye on this. Scott, anything you look forward over the next 3, 4, 5 years? Any goal that you want to achieve?
The
Anything you're
goals that
working on that you want to share?
I want to bring more people in to knowing more about these options and opportunities in real estate, whether they invest in me with me or not. As many people as possible, just to know that this might bring them to a point where they have their aha moment. And I'm planning on this year closing on 3 apartments. That's my goal this
Yeah.
year, and going forward, the sky's the limit. 10-year plan is much more than
Yeah.
that.
What do you see in 10 years?
In 10 years,
What's
10
the realistic goal, or the big goal,
the
big number?
un, the unrealistic the unrealistic goal, 20,000 apartment units.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the realistic goal because other people I know
It's
have
the
already
goal.
done it.
It's
Yeah, other people I
yeah.
know have already done it, so I know it's there. So and I'm not doing it just to do it. It's just because I know that I can do it, so I should do it. There's no reason why not.
Yeah, and then it's the game as well.
Yeah, it's
You
fun.
have to understand how it works, and then
Yeah,
understand how you can duplicate, and like, oh, there's a new problem here. Okay, how can
yeah,
I solve this?
yeah. As it gets bigger, as you're that's probably another thing that I wish I would have done, is thought bigger sooner.
Yeah.
Because it's thinking too small kept things small in my life.
Yeah, but do you think this is something maybe you have to teach your kid,
Yes.
and maybe
Yeah.
something you didn't get when you were younger?
No, my parents worked for themselves, and I saw them whatever they thought they could do. But it's just me personally. I thought maybe I was maybe thinking of things not in the biggest way, or the way that would create those larger thoughts, that would create those larger opportunities.
Yeah. No, but sometimes you just need something to happen as well. You just need to meet someone, or to see a number, to see I don't know, a way of thinking, or just shift something in your head, and just overnight, then it just changes totally. And look, Scott, it's the same with me and the business now. This year is a big year, and I'm just putting 100% into it. And the way I think now, it's not what I thought 2 months ago. And it just took like one meeting, and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, actually, why not? Like, what's the
Have,
difference? It's the same goal. It's
same
the same work.
same work to get the 100 unit property as it is to buy the 1 unit property.
It is. It's just
Yeah.
copy and paste.
Yeah, I mean it's on a scale. It is really that's all it is. There's that. I don't know if you've ever read this book. It's called One More by Ed Milet. You should read it.
Okay, I
I
need
will
to I
send it
need
to you.
to read one more, and I need to read who, not what,
Who not how, who not how.
who, not how. Yeah,
Ed Milet. He said, look, and he's on YouTube. If you get a chance to listen to him, he says, um, "You're one phone call, one text, one meeting, one person away from that everything that you need.
yeah,
So just do
it's
one
true.
more. So just do one
Yes.
more.
Mm-mm.
And it's whether you're in anything you're doing, it might just that one more call might be all it needs, or that one more mile, that one more you know
Yeah,
one more door knock, or that one more chef you need, and it could change everything.
yeah,
you
it's
know
true.
yeah.
Scott, thank you so much for the chat.
Oh,
It was really amazing to discover your world and
yeah.
to get to know you a little bit better.
Well, thank you. The feeling is mutual. It was my pleasure, and we are talking for a reason. So we're gonna do bigger and better things together. I know it.
Everything happened for a reason. That's for
Yes, it
sure.
does. It
Scott,
does.
I'll put you on the show note on the bottom of the video. I'll put your YouTube and your Instagram so people can
Okay.
find you there.
Okay. Perfect.
And yeah, we should do
Yeah.
that another time.
Oh, definitely. And I will send you a link so we can talk some more. Um,
Yeah,
I'd be very interested to do that. That we there's you got the wheels spinning with me about all the things we can do. So
yeah.
I look
There's a
forward
lot.
to it.
There's no limit. There's no
Yeah,
limit.
yeah.
It's only
I look
time.
forward to
Time
it.
is the
Yeah,
only limit we have.
yeah. Time is the only limit. So we better get after it then.
Yeah. Thank you, Scott.
Nice. You're welcome. Whereabouts are you at this point?
Wait, I'm gonna stop the recording. We don't need to record more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm